What's up, guys? My name's Brandon, and this past week was all about getting us hyped up and ready for what's going to be a very fun spring for Apple. And that's because on Tuesday, we got the fifth and hopefully final beta of iOS 15.4, and then on Wednesday, we got the official announcement of the March 8th Apple event titled Peak Performance. So in this video, we're going to discuss more about iOS 15.4 and what to expect next week, along with an update on the performance and battery life of Beta 5. And then we'll also discuss the latest Apple news from this past week, and there are some very juicy rumors you will want to hear about. All right, so let's start off like we always do in these follow-up videos, which by the way, I post these every single weekend. So if you are a lurker and you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I post these videos every single Saturday. So as always, we're going to start off with some additional changes in iOS 15.4. And the first one is this new splash screen. So some people saw new splash screens in Beta 5 for both Notes and for the Wallet application. So we saw this specific image in the code in Beta 4, but now some users got it in Beta 5. I did not get it personally. I wonder if it's because I have notifications turned on already for Notes and Wallet, but even when I tried to turn my notifications off and reboot my device, I never got this prompt. But this is a new little splash screen, a new little notification style here in iOS 15.4. Looks a lot better, a lot more modern than the previous splash screen or alerts to tell you to enable notifications. And then I also wanted to mention that in iPadOS 15.4, we got a new control center toggle for keyboard brightness. And for whatever reason, that was not working on Beta 4 for me. I had a lot of issues with it. It would work on and off. Sometimes I would have to reconnect my iPad to the keyboard for it to work. But now in Beta 5, everything is working perfectly fine. And I love this. This is now my new favorite control center toggle. So definitely one of my favorite features for iPadOS 15.4 is thankfully working properly now. We also mentioned in the What's New video, if we go to our settings, notifications, and then all the way down here to tracking notifications, you can see we have a new glyph icon there for tracking notifications. That is new in Beta 5, and some people are also seeing that show up in their battery section as well. So like if you go to your battery and then all the way down to see what's using up your battery life, it would show it right here if you were getting alerts from the Find My application. And then of course we had multiple changes inside of the magnifier application related to the padding of the toggles right here, the lens picker, the glyph icons, things like that. Nothing new though that I didn't already mention in a previous video. And then some people also asked me about new wallpapers. No, we don't have any new wallpapers here in the 5th beta. We might see them in the RC or the final release, but at this point, I'm not really having any hope at getting new wallpapers, unfortunately. And then for those asking about the digital driver's license, that is in the code for iOS 15.4, but throughout the beta stages, we have not seen anything added physically inside of the Wallet application that we can see to add our driver's license to the Wallet application. So I'm assuming we're still waiting on states and just different laws to pass so we can actually use these in the airport for TSA, use our iPhones for our driver's license, as a replacement. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but still nothing new on the digital driver's license front. And then the Mask ID feature, which is definitely the biggest change in iOS 15.4. It's been constantly getting improved with every single beta, and it seems like it's gotten improved even further here in this 5th beta. Here's what one of the top comments in my Beta 5 What's New video says. Face ID with a mask now seems to have a much wider angle of recognition when authenticating. Until the previous beta, I had to really pull my chin or look down to authenticate or tilt my phone forward. But with this beta, I don't have to do either to the same degree. So yes, it seems like Mask ID has gotten even better here with this 5th beta, which is not surprising. We figured there's going to be a lot of betas for such a massive feature like this. So it looks like it's finally ready for prime time. And then as far as the bug fixes and remaining bugs go, I don't really have anything new to share here in this video that I didn't already mention in my Beta 5 What's New video. So I'm not going to repeat myself in this video because I already told you everything in that. Really nothing to complain about. There are a few remaining bugs in the release notes, but nothing major, nothing that's going to really make you want to say, I'm not updating to 15.4. So that's good news. The only issue I have right now is AirPlay to HomePod. But again, I mentioned that several times, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Pretty much everything now is running great, and I don't really have any issues whatsoever on 15.4. And then as far as the performance goes, performance feels about the same as Beta 4 to me. I talked about that in my initial What's New video, but after using this beta for a few days now, that seems to be true. true. I mean, I really haven't noticed any difference in performance really since beta 3, which is where it really got improved from betas 1 and 2. So performance, again, there's not really any bugs, so I don't have anything to complain about with the performance here. Everything feels perfectly fine and smooth on this 5th beta. But when it comes to battery life, that is a different story because beta 5 has gotten even better battery life than beta 4, which is already a nice improvement over beta 3. Betas 1 and 2, as you guys know, were really bad for me with battery life, but ever since beta 3, it has gotten much better, and now beta 5 is the best I've had yet on iOS 15.4, and I think it's actually reached the point where I think it's better than 15.3.1, the final build in terms of battery life, which is really good. And speaking of 15.3.1, I actually just recently had my battery drain twice from 100% down to like 10% within hours in the same day. So take a look at this screenshot right here. You see that? Those two peaks right there, it's only been, what, like 3 hours for each of them, and it goes from 100% or near 100% down to, under 10%. So that was wild. I wasn't even using my phone during the time that the battery drained like that. I've not experienced that pretty much since like iOS 15, the initial build. So now all of a sudden I'm having battery drain issues on 15.3.1, whereas I don't have any of those issues here on 15.4. So again, a good sign of what's to come. All right, so now what is next for Apple? So next week, it's going to be a very exciting one. We should see the final public release of iOS 15.4. And of course, we do also have the Apple event right there on Tuesday, March 8th. I will be live streaming that on the channel, by the way. But anyways, we will see most likely an RC build before the final public release. There is the possibility of beta 5, just being the final release until the final, but Apple does usually push out an RC or release candidate build to developers and public beta testers before the final public release. So with that being said, I do think that we're going to see the RC either on Monday or Tuesday. So if we're going to get the final after the event, we might see an RC build on Monday the 7th. But if not, we could see an RC after the event on March 8th with a public release coming within the next 2 days. But if we do see an RC build released on Monday the 7th, which is a possibility, we could see the final public release on either the 8th or the 9th. So I do think Apple at least should mention something about iOS 15.4 in this event. I mean, this is the biggest, release for iOS 15 in general. So I would think that they would mention something about it during the event. And along with that, I would expect them to announce the release date of 15.4. So needless to say, we should see iOS 15.4 at some point next week, most likely in the middle of the week. But as always, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter for the most up-to-date alerts. And of course, if anything gets announced while I'm streaming, I will talk about it on my live stream. All right, so now let's move on to the Apple Weekly segment of this video where I share some of the latest Apple news and rumors. So first off, we have to talk about a brand new Apple product that we might be seeing sooner rather than later, and that is the Mac Studio. Yes, Mac Studio. So 9to5Mac just recently reported that Apple is working on a new desktop computer that is somewhere in the middle of a Mac Mini and a Mac Pro, and the rumored name is Mac Studio. According to this report, there are going to be 2 different chip options, one with an M1 Max chip and one with a brand new chip that is more powerful than the M1 Max chip, which is already insanely powerful, by the way. That's what I'm using now to edit my videos. And to go along with this Mac Studio, Apple is also rumored to be launching a brand new 7K external monitor called the Apple Studio Display. Here's what that report says. While it's unclear whether the new Apple Studio Display is a replacement for the Pro Display XDR or a new option in the lineup with distinct features, people familiar with the matter told 9to5Mac that the new display has a 7K resolution. By comparison, Pro Display XDR has a 32-inch 6K panel with 218 pixels per inch. A higher resolution could mean that the new Apple Studio Display will have a higher pixel density of 245 pixels per inch, or that it will keep the same 218 pixels per inch as the Pro Display XDR, but on a larger 36-inch panel. And that is a dream panel if I've ever even heard of one. I haven't even seen it yet, but just hearing about it, that is a dream panel, and I don't want to look at the price of that. But both of those products sound absolutely bonkers, and this is some of the most exciting Mac news that I've heard in a very long time. So I can't wait to see what comes of this. And after hearing this, it does beg the question, is this what Apple is going to be giving us a peek at during their March 8th event? I mean, nobody said anything about either of these products until now, so I think that's pretty unlikely, but it is a possibility. If not, I hope we see them announced at the Worldwide Developers Conference or sometime before the fall or before the end of this year. Next up, let's talk Apple Watch Series 8. So we all remember how let down we were last year when Apple announced the Series 7 watch and it didn't have a redesign, right? Well, it looks like 2022 is going to be a much better year if you're looking to upgrade your watch. And that's because Mark Gurman is reporting that this year will be, quote, the biggest in the history of the Apple Watch since the original model. And here's why he thinks so. Quote, I'm looking for 3 new models this fall, an Apple Watch Series 8, an Apple Watch SE, and an Apple Watch geared towards extreme sports. I wouldn't expect any major new health sensors this year besides the possible inclusion of the body temperature feature. But look out for major updates to activity tracking and faster chips across the board. So the main reason Gurman thinks that this is going to be the biggest year for the Apple Watch is because of a new model of Apple Watch and faster processors across the board. But after last year, again, I'll believe it when I see it. Now moving on to the iPhone SE 3. So we just got some last minute leaks courtesy of Ming-Chi Kuo, who just recently joined Twitter actually. So he tweeted this out. So predictions for the coming iPhone SE. Mass production in March 22. Estimated shipments of 25 to 30 million units in 2022. Storage options of 64, 128, and 256, which is good to see there. A15 and 5G support, and look at the parentheses there. He says millimeter wave and sub 6. Casing, white, black, and red, which I assume are going to be the color options. Similar form factor to current SE. So yeah, it's good to see that Apple will be bringing full millimeter wave 5G to the budget SE instead of just, putting only sub 6 to cut costs. So I am a little disappointed by the color selection since previous rumors did point to at least one new color being added this year, maybe like a purple or a lilac, something like that. But it looks like we're not, at least according to Ming-Chi Kuo. So expect to see this SE3 announced at the March 8th event, along with a new iPad Air and at least one new Mac. Although rumors on the Mac have kind of slowed down a bit, so I hope that we're still seeing at least one new Mac at this event. Next up is a story for sports lovers, specifically NFL fans. So according to Front Office Sports, Apple is working on a $1 billion deal to bring NFL games to our iPhones. So apparently the NFL is taking offers for 3 different assets: an equity stake in NFL media, the NFL Sunday ticket package, and live streaming games on mobile devices. And allegedly, Apple wants to bundle them all together into one massive deal. And I don't know about you guys, but being able to stream every game on my iPhone from what could be a dedicated app or maybe just from the TV application would be absolutely amazing. And I would imagine it's going to be a part of Apple TV Plus or maybe require a different plan. But whatever the case is, I'm sure it will be cheaper than any other option out there to stream NFL games. So I cannot wait to see what comes of this. And then lastly, I wanted to briefly touch on the foldable iPad/MacBook hybrid that has recently been rumored. So this was first mentioned by Ross Young a couple weeks back. We mentioned it here on this segment of one of my videos previously. And in Mark Gurman's latest newsletter, he actually chimes in on this. So he says, quote, Apple could go with a foldable 20-inch screen attached to a physical keyboard or just have one side of the display serving as a virtual keyboard. I'm told Apple has indeed been exploring a dual screen foldable MacBook iPad hybrid that would take the second approach. It would trade in the physical keyboard and trackpad for a fully touchscreen base. So it's good to hear that this is not just coming from one source, even though Ross Young is really reliable. It's good to see that 2 very highly trusted sources are saying this is actually being worked on. Now, we don't know if it's going to get released in 2026 or really at all, but I would absolutely love a device like this. What do you guys think? So there you have it. That is the latest batch of Apple news from this past week, along with some additional information on 15.4 and when to expect the final public release. So if you guys enjoyed this video, as always, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure to subscribe for a lot more iOS 15 and iPhone coverage. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.